So the first topic is about the energy and environment. So during our semester, during this course, we will see how different kind of energy production will impact on our environment, how impact on our society, and how impact also on our people. So first of all, we will discuss the impact of oil and gas. So we will talking about the drilling wells, how the disposal waste and disposal water, the transporting and converting all on the fossil fuel energy production. So we will not just talking about how CO2 emission impact on our atmosphere, but also we see how the drilling and all the process related to oil and gas impact on the water, on our ocean, and also on the earth. The second part we will discuss on the greenhouse gases and their impact on urban pollution. So the effect of fossil fuels is quite hard in terms of environmental impact on urban and regional area. You can see the effect. We start talking about around 1980, and we will remember when we're talking about the acid rain was one of the first big impact that the people start to realize, because it was the time that especially the transport sector and industrial sector, they polluted so much that caused this huge amount of CO2 that was condensed in the atmosphere and starting to drop in terms of rain, and it was analyzed that this rain was acid, that it was tremendous, especially in America. So they start to realize for the first time how much the fossil fuel impacts on our environment. So another tremendous impact was on the ozone depletion. This was caused not only by the fossil fuel production, but also by all the chemicals that was used in our industrial products. And basically the ozone depletion affect the South Pole, and after 20 years after many environmental policy and environmental politics aspect, we start to reduce the use of some chemicals that increasing the depletion of ozone. Anyway, apart from ozone, that now it looks like that the impact was a little bit reduced compared to 1960 and 1980. At the moment, the big issues is about the global warming and greenhouse effect, and also how the climate change and sea level rise affect and will continue tremendous affect our society. So the global emission by gas, you can see from the graph, is caused by the 65% by the carbon dioxide that come from any kind of fossil fuel. So basically it's a coal and crude oil production. The second of carbon dioxide is the forestry and other land use. So clearing land use, so reducing all our forests, all the green area impact a lot in terms of carbon dioxide. The methane is caused by all the agriculture activity, agriculture production, while the nitrous oxide that represents the 60% is caused by the overuse of chemical fertilizer that based on nitrogen and phosphorus, and the rest is called the F gases. That is all the industrial process and that we use for any kind of industrial production. So you can see the carbon dioxide represents 65% only from the fossil fuel. That's a huge amount compared to the other sector. Basically the methane and nitrogen oxide come from the agriculture sector. So the global emission by sector, you can see So the most important is the industrial and electricity production. Electricity and heat production at the moment, almost the 85% in all the development country come from the coal and oil production. Then we have the transportation that represents the 40%, and agriculture, forestry and land use is 24%. The rest is the other kind of energy production and building, and also the sector of cement production represent only the 6%. So you can see the industry and electricity production is still one of the biggest sector in terms of emission divided by sector. So if we see the CO2 emission, this is a 2014 situation. You can see how China, United States and EU represent almost the 65%. China increasing in the last 2 decades more than 35% compared to the previous decades. Also United States remain almost the same, because you can see from the nowadays that there was not much attention, and also all the establishment, the political establishment, look like that they don't even thinking about how we can mitigate our climate and how we can move towards some sustainable solution. EU basically before in 1998 was close to 8%, now is close to 9%. This doesn't mean that Europe doesn't increase in terms of CO2 emission and doesn't invest in renewable. The problem is that our society is completely changing from the geopolitical point of view, and also the population was growth in the last 3 decades. So basically there was a slight increase in EU. India represents the 7%. Also India in the last 3 decades faced a huge amount of CO2 emission caused by the increasing of industrial electricity production, and also was caused by the growth population. The others was represented by the Africa and all the other nation, and also the South America. So as you can see, if you just we show just the global situation, and we put together all the carbon emission for any kind of sector, any kind of industrial, commercial, individual use, you will see how from the 19th century till 2014 there was a huge amount that increasing. It was never stopped. So basically the global emission never faced any kind of reducing or sloping, of just remaining, at the same rate. It looks like that this kind of trend will never change if we keep going to use and produce the energy production from fossil fuel. Another important issue that we will see on the next lecture, and we'll pay a lot of attention, is what is called the carbon dioxide concentration. This is the little particles that are concentrated in our atmosphere. Remember that in 1980 we were very scared when we were talking about how, when we reach 2050 per parcel per millimeter, it looked like it was terrible, and we started thinking about all the solution, but it looked like nothing changed. And in 2013 we reached 400 parts per millimeter. That is a huge amount, because how we will see, I will show you in the next lecture, this kind of concentration is create the global warming, and it's also very important how this kind of estimation and forecasting, we will see how different international agencies will forecast that this trend will never drop until we reduce the fossil fuel by the 50%, this will impact on the sea level rise, on the temperature rise, and it seems like that if it reach 400 parts per millimeters, the temperature will rise by the 2 degrees Celsius. So that's the point that what we will discuss in the next lecture and during this course. So what we do? So we already reached the point of no return, or we still have to do something. When we have to do still something? Right now, or we still have some decades to thinking about how we can reduce the fossil fuel and how we can reduce the CO2 emissions? Because it looks like that the trend I will show you in this graph doesn't seem that there is any sign of reduction in terms of CO2 emission, in terms of energy demand, and in terms of energy supply. So we will see from any different kind of aspect and perspective, and we will also analyze the different countries, how they will approach to this problem. Because from the climate change science, it seems like that we already reached the point of no return. So there are so many different research that show that even if we stop now using and producing our energy for fossil fuel, the damage to our atmosphere will be for the next 300 or 400 years. So it looks like for an atmosphere, not decades, but hundreds of years to do something and to change a little bit and to do that the temperature not keep going rising. So we will see from the next lecture all the technology and all how we can approach to the management. So not just in terms of energy demand and energy supply, but also how we can change our approach, our idea to thinking about our life, and how we have to change the management, not just in the energy, but in any kind of sector, if you want to reduce and if you want to have much better future world. Thank you, and now we'll keep going to the next subtopic.